Kaboosh. Hello, welcome one, welcome all, welcome to this thing of ours, thing we have been doing and conducting for quite some time. All will be explained presently. Please pull up a chair, pull up a seat, come and say hello, come and join us. We do this thing again of ours. Begins. Wait for the room to fill up. For those of you who are seeking the uncomfortable truths, we hope to bring you that with tonight's stream, just to lay out yurt. Just to lay out the format for tonight's show, those of you joining us over on YouTube here at the live stream tonight, we are very welcome back. Thank you very much for your continued support and your company. While I have your attention, please don't forget to smash that like button. Also, if you're new to the show, hit that subscription button and also the bell. You'll be reminded of future broadcasts here on the Grand Torino. Please, if you could, please brighten my Northern Star. And please leave your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comments section down below. It really does help with the algorithms over there too. As the room fills up and all our lovely denizens join us here for this thing of ours as it begins again. Here by Ryan, great to see you there, brother. Ragnar Binks also moderating in the channel for us. Our good friend Karen Burns from Jersey over in the United States of America. Nikki Khan, Silmiata, Sean Thornton, our very good friend and long-term contributor. As I say, some uncomfortable truths to start off with, and for those of you of a tender and sensitive nature and who are easily offended, but before I begin with the profanity, let me just first welcome all the new supporters that are coming over on Facebook. It's you'll see it here tonight as we go through the notifications just haven't stopped, and welcome aboard. You're very welcome to join us here at this thing we do of ours. So tonight's format, quickly, let me run through it. The first half of the show, part one, as we shall say, is dedicated to YouTube. With that, welcome aboard, Ray. With that, I just have a little intro, a piece of music, and I've left a link in the description box for you over in YouTube. I very much think this is a great little catchy tune for us to share and push out. Only a small channel, True Sounds, 266 subscribers. But the Rasta boys have got it nailed, and it's a great meme to push out. We'll have a quick look at that in a second. I want to bring you through a magical mystery tour over on the Twitter swamp. I want to bring to your attention the current conversation as it pertains to the echo chamber that is Twitter. A lot of good commentators, a lot of people with some rational thoughts. And again, as I go through that, you will see my thoughts on various subjects as they push on through. Welcome, Gary. Great to see you. Revolution. I have it tattooed on my back. If you don't believe me, check out my Facebook. You'll see it there. Revolution is in the air, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll keep the second part of the conversation. I'm going to read an article from our good friend, from the good friends at thefreepress.ie. It does not pull any punches, and it speaks to the heart of the matter as we look and deal with it here in the Republic of Ireland in relation to the Dublin shooting. Hence, title of tonight's show. For those of you tuning in with a very critical eye, please allow the piece to be read out. It is quite a concise, a long piece. I would imagine we're looking at about 20-25 minutes as we go through, but it pulls no punches, as our good friend Michael Sullivan has not failed to do so throughout the course of the year. And for those of you just joining us again, like I say, you're very welcome. But the Free Press and also the Burkean Journal, two websites I thoroughly recommend for those of you new here as well to click in and to get a proper journalistic perspective on what is happening here in the Republic of Ireland. Michael pulls no punches, but we'll get to that presently. If you're willing to support the show, this is going to be here from on out. I encourage you to click your camera at it, your camera phone there. It's self-described. It has a range of functions, but if you want to support the show, and as the new descriptor in the description box says, if you want to stick some Bitcoin in the tank for Grand Torino, that's how you do it. Just stick your camera phone up there and then use your discretion and your benevolence. I am completely at your mercy. Without you, there is no me. You beautiful, wonderful people. One last thing. Also to deal with a small bit of housework. Please don't forget our good friends over at thelittlefharmer.ie. The Little Farmer.ie. We love our enzymes so much. We keep them alive. Wheatgrass and barleygrass, mighty shots. Small wonder. They're so good. One wheatgrass shot is equivalent to 1 kilogram of your leafy green veg. Barleygrass juice full of antioxidants. just shake and shoot. Don't forget to head over and enter in the G code GT for your discount. And please support Patriotic Irish Beneficial Health Nutrition. I'm taking it daily myself. And the results speak for themselves. But if you want to support Irish, let's start shopping local. Let's start supporting each other. The second part of the show, we'll transfer over to Facebook, Twitch. And my apologies to D Live. I wasn't able to include you in tonight's broadcast. But we will drill a little deeper, pun intended, over on Facebook after I let YouTube go. YouTube, you know, our relationship has changed because of the censorial nature. I'm just going to report here on the free press, verbatim. So without further ado, let me jump over here and just give you a little quick blast of the video that I want you to tag along with as well. It did say it's well worth the... Change that now. Second, I'll do it now. In the way of the other thingamajigamy. Let me slick that over there. See how I did that? Amazing! Amazing! This video here, just a little bit of sound, but just check out. I'll only play the 15 seconds of it, but link is in the description box. Check out.
Then it won't physically. We're going to puzzle. Why Babylon while we in a muzzle? It compromises your immunity.
Head over there and give the boys a follow and pass that and share that on again as well. It's a great opener, great chill. Let's jump over to the Twitter swamp. I'll remind you of our pinned tweet that's been remaining and has been there for quite some time, since the 21st of August 2019. I encourage you to go over and give it a like. And this broadcast, like many others, is for all peoples, for each and every one of us here on this beautiful island of Ireland. We are all facing a common enemy. And what is happening now in our beautiful country that we all reside in is that the divide and conquer rule of the global tyranny has been revealed and shown its teeth all of last year. 2021 is not going to be any different. So the push on free speech, which is expected to really clamp down by the end of 2021, expect them to try and push that forward. But while we had the opportunity to speak relatively freely on various platforms, like I say, you'll understand why I'm going to transpose our video. I will jump over to StreamYard, and then I invite you to come in and have your say on the video reactions. I'm not going to play the video on the YouTube section of the show, but I am going to play the videos on the Facebook part 2. So you're welcome to join us below after I let you go, YouTube. YouTube, please be nice, please be kind, and look after each other. Strolling on through, this is what we are currently facing here in the Republic of Ireland, level 5 restrictions. Our good friend Tracy O'Mahony has done a complete breakdown and has given some good counsel there on various aspects of the legislation and how you might understand it and use it better yourself. This handy layman's chart is for us here in the Republic of Ireland, and I'll break it down as easy as I can. It's in picture format, so relatively everyone should get it, but I'll go through the points as quickly as I can. From midnight, the 30th of December until the 31st of January, full level 5 restrictions apply nationally. Those include social family gatherings. Das ist verboten! Indoor sports training. Das ist also verboten! Religious services. Das ist definitely verboten! Wet pubs. Nein, nein, nein! Verboten! The workplace. Verboten! With the essential workers. Swimming pools, leisure centers, gyms. Nein! Verboten! Weddings. Haha! Dumpfkopf. Verboten! Outdoor sports training. Verboten! Funerals. Verboten! Retail and personal services. Verboten! Traveling out and about. Verboten! Indoor culture venues. Niet. Verboten! Organized indoor event. Verboten, Schweinstage! Matches and events. Yeah, verboten. Bars, cafes, restaurants serving food. Except takeaways. Schools, early learning and children's services. Open with protective measures. Social distancing. Perpetual mask wearing. Obsession with cleansing of hands is to be instructed and pushed out by the Kulaks. Traveling indoors, stay at home. It's verboten. Local amenities, library services, but the books, verboten. Organised outdoor events, verboten. And I'll read it out through. I'm not making light of that. You know, a bit of cracker just go. We change it around, a bit of the giggles. Strolling on through. Here it is in visual representation as well. Scary times. I retweeted earlier on. This map destroys the pandemic theory. Absolutely destroys it. Northern Ireland border is highly porous. An open border. There are even farms straddling across. Yet the virus stops dead at the border. This pandemic is obviously about arbitrary testing and reporting methodologies, not about a virus. Yeah, it just won't come across the border at all. Strange. A couple of accounts for you to follow through there, as recommended. Our good friend D and Neil, Catholic Irish nationalist and distributionist, our exit patriot. Welcome aboard. Jean tweeted out earlier on today from her travels out and about. Thank you very much for the new follow, Stephen. Welcome aboard. Jean shouts out, can I commend the staff at Equipet Ashbourne for protecting my rights when I was verbally attacked by a male customer? I was not wearing a mask. The young manager handled the bully with extreme correctness and politeness. Well done. This is playing out. I'll let it speak for itself. Live chat, you let me know what you think. What can you see there? And I'm not going to describe it because the algos. Don't forget you can help support the channel by just using your phone here and clicking and using the new pay currency. It's a way to draw you in and show you how to use that currency. What can you see? What can you see? Look at those breaths. Look at those glorious... What? What's happening there? He's not maintaining a 6 foot... Steve, the nappy. Okay, we're cracking on. Our good friend was Bruce Scott, who joins us regularly bi-weekly over on our YouTube channel and joins us for our very important discussions. Was recently interviewed by Sonia Poulton over on Brand New Tube. I hope you're diversifying your sources of information and reaching out and transversing the light fandango away from PooTube. The National Health posited this question to the CMO Ireland here. A formal request has been issued by the CMO Ireland to request the National Immunisation Advisory Committee to consider the possibility of using experimental COVID-19 vaselines in an experimental manner not supported by the manufacturer. In essence, reading the article there, CMO wants to extend the payment. Experimentally, it's not the manufacturers says that the inoculation doses should be spread between 21 days. But the NEFID has posited that we might stretch the boosting out for 28 days instead of 21, as Health Freedom so correctly points out. They want to try an experiment on an experimental drug. Meanwhile, the manufacturers are indemnified from the results of that experimentation. Interesting you should point that one out. Eamon Martin spoke out recently over here. We had the recent controversy of RTE's New Year's mockumentary, or its little report that it did, accusing God of rape and reporting his imprisonment. This outrageous clip should be removed immediately and denounced by all people of goodwill. I remind you, RTE have pushed a piece out through their other Lugan press tentacles and have apologised profusely, but have refused to take the offending item off their RTE player. It's still visible, it's still up online. So it's a mealy-mouthed apology. Also, I retweeted this earlier on today, and I'm happy to highlight it here as well. There's an appeal launched to find a 14-year-old missing girl from Dublin, missing since Christmas Day. If you click on the link on my Twitter there, you'll see a description, and also the description of the clothes she was last wearing, seen Christmas Day. Please keep an eye out, please keep her in your prayers as well. Also, just to throw an eye across the water, I think this is very credible and huge. The Pulitzer Prize winner, I retweeted it there. Go and find your way, navigate and listen to what this chap said. He made a stunning presentation during the Georgia election inquiries in the United States. It's all leading to the United States. And I will respond to some of our good friends in the Twitter swamp. I know you're saying the Trump mega Vaseline is still being touted on that side. But as nationalists, I agree with the way of the world. As nationalists, we should be hedging our bets and hoping that there isn't a second Trump term, because the alternative with a Biden presidency and 4 years of global tyranny to be used to the max is not something we should all look upon and look forward to. And all of us will feel the brunt of that. Strolling on through, I'll let that play for itself. You'll understand what that meant there, that picture, but we won't speak of it. Also, BitChute doing amazing things and starting to creep up in the ranks. Please support BitChute as much as you can. And that is the offending item there. I won't play the content or the audio because it will be used against me there. But you can see that was the New Year's Eve prankomentary that they're exposing God being done for impregnating a immigrant traveler. The fucking sheer audacity of them. And I apologize for cursing. I'll keep that for later on. And last but not least, Dick Dellingpole, New Year's Eve tweeted out, must have been drunk last night, woke up and found I'd lost the EU. Was sure it was there when I went to bed. If anyone sees it, I don't particularly want it back. Just want to know it's okay. And last but not least, our American friends, the GOP Senator and Senate Leader, Mitch McConnell, has exposed himself profusely, calling for all Republican senators to stand behind the Biden presidency in essence. But numerous Republicans are going to stand up and contest the election. Okay, let's get into this article. Doesn't pull any punches. And I'm delighted to read it out. This is another startling section from our good friend Michael. Strap yourselves in, brace yourselves. Dublin shooting, racist left-wing politicians and media rejoice, engage full blaxploitation mode. This from Michael Sullivan, 2nd of January 2021. A 27-year-old was shot dead by Irish police in West Dublin at 12:35 p.m. on Wednesday, the 30th of December 2020. George Nkenko was allegedly being party to a number of incidences in the lead up to his shooting at the hands of Irish police. Generally, if you attack police with a knife, you're going to get shot. Attack police and members of the public with massive knives, fail to surrender knife, attack police with clear intent to kill, get shot. It is, of course, sad that anyone gets shot, but this is the real world, or at least used to be. With plenty of video evidence available to local communities, that really should be by the end of the story, but as is fitting for the year in which the Irish media drove people mad, the story was only getting started. This bystander video of the shooting has been widely shared on social media. We wouldn't share it otherwise. Again, I'm not going to play the video until we jump over to the Facebook version and we continue. The man has already been pepper sprayed and tasered, had violently assaulted a shop manager and elderly disabled person in a wheelchair. In the video, we can see him lunge again for police after the first shot. Having viewed the video, it is clear that after being shot once, Mr. Nkocho continued to attempt to attack police with the mostly peaceful blade. That will be explained. Mostly peaceful blade he happened to be carrying. He therefore needed a few more rounds to put him down and to stop the attack. Unsurprisingly for 2020's clown world, local migrant communities went on a rampage after the killing, despite being fully aware of the man's criminal rap sheet and seeing the video. We go into the reason for the self-destructive madness below. First, here's a small taste of the massive carnage unreported by the mainstream media, who in many ways caused this, that has occurred in the local area in the past 2 days. Widespread racially motivated attacks immediately followed in Dublin. This first video shows the man returning from assaulting shop staff and members of the public and being trailed by Irish police. Mr. Nkencho is on his way back home after perpetrating the extremely violent maiming of a Eurospar convenience store manager. He also allegedly punched an elderly disabled person in a wheelchair who challenged his actions. It was this event that led to the police being called initially and ultimately to his shooting. As you can see, Mr. Nchoko has several police cars trailing him. Nchoko is also alleged to have beaten his partner with a hammer in recent weeks and violently assaulted and terrorized several other women in this local park. Again, we'll review the video in the Facebook section here. Don't forget to click on the link if you want to join us over and continue on that conversation. These next two videos show the mob looking for revenge in the shooting by attacking Irish people for being white. The next video shows the mob holding Irish people hostage in the shop in which the criminal had assaulted staff just hours previously. They, females, are heard shouting racist taunts, white bastards, I hope you die, and words to the effect, the irony. Again, video to follow over on Facebook after this. The original video is clear-cut and everyone in the local area has seen it, including those engaged in assaulting local white Irish people all over the local area in retribution simply for being white. These videos are just a taste of the hundreds circulating on every social media platform. Multiple attacks and assaults on native Irish people in the area have gone unreported by Irish mainstream media, as have the mob's attempts to storm the local police station. The Irish media are racist towards black people. The term blaxploitation was coined by Eunice Griffin, and then head of the Los Angeles National Association for the Advancement of Coloured People, the NAACP, in the early 70s as a criticism for the less than positive images of African Americans depicted in the genre. The Irish media engage in goal-orientated blaxploitation every week. We extensively show you how below it is not immediately obvious until you look hard enough. Daily Irish newspapers who have lied about COVID-19 all year, and the most peacefully Black Lives Matter protests in the US and the UK, and the Irish Independent and Irish Times just can't stop lying by omission. All mainstream reporting in recent days made it seem like everything was calm, dignified and peaceful in the aftermath of the shooting. In misrepresentation, the carnage, the media are isolating the people of Blanchardstown and obscuring their true agenda to divide and conquer black and white working class communities. The media are waging war on Ireland and civilised society, attempting to gaslighting the Irish into self-hatred for being racist and to persuade African migrants into thinking that the welcoming Irish are somehow racist. This here was posited out how the Irish Independent version of the demonstrations and how they were portrayed in the national papers. And meanwhile, in Blanchardstown Garda Station, this one I will show you. This is the parents after the show, and we'll have a quick look at this. We continue. Stop buying these newspapers. Stop visiting their websites and sharing their stories, thus giving them ad revenue. Stop funding their lies. Irish politicians and the Irish international media not only caused this shooting, but also the violent attacks on white Irish people that followed by seeding racial division and manipulating the minds of black communities. The racist aftermath against white Irish people was and is one of their prime goals. Divide and conquer is the order of the day for Ireland's politicians and media. Setting blacks against whites is to cause ongoing future carnage. What makes a man think he can act like this with impunity, with no consequence in a civilised Western country? Who puts the idea into his head that he was invincible and untouchable? Did he think he was invincible because he was black? And what then causes many men and women from these local African communities to mount racial attacks on innocent white people in revenge? These black kids aren't stupid. They're just as smart as white kids. They know that their parents were welcomed in from Africa in recent decades and given a home and a peaceful society to live in. They know that the place where they live is probably better than where their parents came from. Indeed, many of them may not even be alive when they were welcomed into a stable Western country with rule of law, dependable food supplies, and opportunities for all. We must ask why they are literally tearing up what they have been given, all for a dead man who has, by all accounts, done nothing but terrorise the local community for years. Why are these kids seeking to divide themselves from the local population? Could it be that the media and Irish politicians continually tell them that they are different in order to provoke these reactions deliberately? There is no doubt that some criminals in the area will miss the mayhem this man caused, but there's also something much more sinister going on in Ireland that black and white people need to face up to. The Irish media's agenda is to use black people as pawns and treat them like idiots. The Irish media have spent years trolling these African kids into thinking that Irish people are racist. They have created a narrative that has brainwashed these kids into thinking the very people who welcomed their families in and sent their people money for generations are somehow racist towards them. It is difficult to resist this type of brainwashing. It's an easy out for these kids because it removes all responsibility for their actions and, by extension, their agency. Their ability to better themselves and grow into functioning members of society. It makes many of them dependent on the state for life and on politicians that exploit them. There is zero evidence of systematic racism in Ireland against black people. There never was. But go out and buy any national Irish newspaper on a weekend and you'll see one guilt piece after another telling Irish people that they are racist. You'll hear it on the radio and the TV too, by the support of Irish journalists given to Marxist filth like Black Lives Matter, which is funded by rich oligarchs and Chinese money to sow internal discord in the United States and Western European nations. China is, without a doubt, the most racist society in the world. If migrants are tore a town up in China, not that they would be allowed in there in the first place, like they did in Blanchardstown, they'd all be lined up and shot. The Irish media's white guilt movement mirrors the white guilt Black Lives Matter movement sweeping the United States, driven by the Kabbalic Marxist JS. The leftist Democrat politicians bought and owned by China. The United States is full of these nation destroyers seeking to create chaos. And Ireland has plenty. Saoirse Pollock of the Irish Times is one of them. This tweet sums her up. We'll go into that on Facebook. There are plenty more like her, and their goal is to undermine Irish culture and tell these children of African migrants that the Irish somehow hate them. You can be sure that the media people like Pollock and the RTE Marxist John Williams hate black people just as much as they hate the lower and middle class native Irish. Make no mistake, many Irish journalists are paid up members of the Communist British Union of Journalists, and their goal is to help destroy Western society. They are using race as an issue to erode national morale and identity, to pave their way for their communist Marxist ideals. That they are being paid handsomely in a capitalist fashion to push this agenda doesn't come into it. These journalists writing the lies are the useful leftist idiots that Yuri Bezmenov spoke about in our article about the journal.ie being full-time lawyers and useful idiots being used. The agenda is widespread in Irish media and politics. Their pandering to the BLM movement throughout the summer of 2020 and beyond was no coincidence. BLM are self-avowed Marxists, just like most Irish journalists are. They are using black people to achieve their wider political goals. They don't care how marginalised black communities in Ireland will eventually become as a result of their race baiting. Irish journalism that pretends to support black people actually destroys black people like the BLM platform does. Here's the twist. The Irish capitalist media ownership oligarchy fosters the type of migrant violence seen in Blanchardstown to ultimately split the left, using migrants to maintain the status quo that leftists professed opposition to. Think that's a conspiracy? Think again. The FBI even went so far as to create a fake African holiday and a group called the African Slaves to achieve just that under their notorious COINTELPRO program. They created a rival group to the Black Panthers, who were never actually anti-white. We are witnessing the same thing in Ireland. Ireland's ruling class making victims out of black migrants, telling them that they are not responsible for their actions, to suck in the idiot brain-dead left and keep us all fighting amongst ourselves. This also contributes to the express goal of current ruling Irish and EU political criminals to suppress the populism and nationalism that is slowly uniting the leftist Bernie Sanders crowd and the Trump MAGA crowd in the United States. The scum of Irish politics and Irish media are deathly afraid that the disaffected left and the right will unite in Ireland once they realise that this Irish National Parliament is a sham and their media-driven divisions are mostly cosmetic. Currently in Ireland, if an Irish nationalist rationally objects to the African mobs rampaging through Dublin or migrants being housed unequally before the native Irish homelessness, the idiot left do the job of the capitalists and attack their own people by calling them racists. Useful idiots in the media and group like BLM Antifa take the bait, groups run by committed Crown plant Marxist Sinn Féin who are all over the unjustified outrage of recent days. This attempt to censor creates deep and damaging resentment, the very divisions that cuckold left say they want to prevent, but that their leaders like Sinn Féin and people for profit actively encourage. If black people in Ireland want to protest anything, target number one is the Irish media. They are hell-bent on persuading your children that they are too stupid to have personal responsibility and that they can commit crimes with no consequence. This dooms black children to unhappy lives because the law will eventually catch up with them, just as it did with Mr. Nkencho. That's just a fact of life. If they keep listening to the Irish media, they will also look to blame Whitey, which will doom them to unhappiness because Irish Whitey has invited them into their home and has no racist bone in his or her body. At least he hadn't until that they started the racist battering of old white women and men for being white, all because the police shot and killed a knife wielding criminal who happened to be black. Let's keep it so Irish people remain non racist. Time to step up, black community leaders. You know where RTE is. This Irish media are racist against blacks and seek to create victims. The events of recent days shows that they are succeeding. Every child of an African migrant who attacked white people in recent days knows that Nkencho was a violent criminal. They all seen the shooting video, yet they immediately lost grip of reason and seen him as a victim. They have been manipulated into thinking that if someone is black, they can do no wrong. This is due to the concerted Irish and global media programme mentioned above. The mainstream cabal-owned media is the enemy of all humans, black and white. The media are seeking to create a community of victims, a domestic bogeyman for Irish people to constantly be wary of, and vice versa. They seek to remove responsibility from the black community and create resentment in the native population. This creates tensions that last decades, which allows Ireland's media and political elites to keep raping the public purse and robbing us all blind. This model has been followed across Democrat-run cities in the United States for over 50 years. First, they victimised black communities. They gave them handouts. They created a welfare-dependent class, made everything about race, which ensured corruption and crime soared. In the absence of personal responsibility, these cities turned into communist shitholes. This is a tried and tested method by those wishing to destroy nations and those simply seeking corrupt political power. It's called divide and conquer. The Irish media and Irish politicians, like Fine Gael scumbag and Bilderberger Simon Coveney, are so focused on mass migration into Ireland, despite us not having the jobs, houses, or health infrastructure to accommodate it, because they are literally getting paid to destroy their own nations and create classes of people from whom they can derive political power in one twisted way or another. Treasonous Irish politicians, most of them, use black people for political capital. The Irish people do not use black people. There are a number of political parties in Ireland with elected representatives currently sitting in our notional parliament. Technically, they are ideologically driven, but by 2020 has taught us that they are all the exact same. They all supported the Black Lives Movement when expressly seeks to undermine black people and the black community. And they all lied about COVID and unscientific mask mandates and murderous, economically devastating lockdowns that will hurt black and white jobs. It is the middle and lower class jobs that have been hit the hardest by the COVID scam. Every political party in Ireland except the National Party, Irish Freedom Party, Renua and Anti-Corruption Ireland opposed the lie of lockdowns for a virus with a 99.98% recovery rate. For opposing economic destruction and supporting economic freedoms for blacks and whites, they are called far right by Marxist politicians and media in Ireland. This is called projection. Accuse your enemy of which you are guilty. The left and the media are the true racists in Ireland, as explained in detail above and expanded on below. Every sitting politician, except Matty McGrath, Michael McNamara, had the decency to ask logical questions about the COVID hoax. The rest of Ireland's politicians went along with the COVID lockdown lie that has caused more suicides, cancers, and heart disease screenings going missed. These people, Irish politicians who kept quiet and kept the COVID lie going, are guilty of murder by joint venture. And they know they are guilty, which is why they have kept the lockdown lie going. From the majority of Ireland's politicians, we get one lying voice bleating about how we are all racist and how there's really a COVID crisis, despite their own stats showing that COVID is completely made up, completely less sickness and mortality than any other cause in our hospitals. They lie about literally everything, fabricating issues to keep us all in fear and perpetual turmoil. As I report to you here now from last I looked, there are 50 ICU beds in use in Dublin hospitals here in the Republic of Ireland. 50 out of a population of 4.5 million. The latest campaign of race baiting by Irish politicians may even make it into law. We now have half-wit virtue signalling Fianna Fáil senators like Fiona O'Loughlin, Robbie Gallagher and Lisa Chambers making up monumentally stupid hate speech bills to stop us talking about things like this and drive divisions even deeper. These people are the stupidest of our people, being given a platform to sow more racial division. These racist Fianna Fáil halfwits are basically telling black people they are incapable of having reasonable discussions because they are too stupid and might get offended if somebody says the word black. That is what the hate speech bill is all about. Treasonous Irish politicians treating black people like idiots and seeking to use them for political gain. Their side goal is to stop the likes of freepress.ie from showing African migrants how our politicians are using them for political ends and essentially telling African migrants they have a right to prosecute any Irish person they deem offensive. I can guarantee you the vast majority of African migrants we spoke to about this, and many of them taxi drivers, do not want the bill to pass because they know the terrible storm a law like that could eventually bring upon them. Interestingly, is the loudest virtue signalling leftist politicians in Ireland who hate black people the most. Where some corrupt politicians gerrymander and manipulate boundaries of electoral districts, Marxist leftists create entirely new constituencies to exploit by deliberately igniting racial tensions. They do this as the native population recognises their extreme corruption. Their political business model relies on keeping people in ignorance and perpetuating false narratives, moving from one host to the next like parasites. There are a number of Irish political parasites who have migrant communities firmly in their sights. They use black people for political ends, treating them like they are stupid, while also hoping to gain votes and sympathy from cooked, brainwashed Irish white people who have migrant communities firmly in their sights. They use black people for political ends, treating them like they're also hoping to gain votes. Sorry, I messed that one up. Marxist leftists are not the friend of the white man or the black man. Understanding this is simply a matter of rejecting manufactured perception. Shakespeare's witches are prophets who hailed Macbeth in the early in the play and predicted his ascent to kingship. Upon killing the king and gaining the throne of Scotland, Macbeth hears them ambiguously predict his eventual downfall. The witches and their filthy trappings set an early ominous tone for the play. Hazel Chew, left-wing black-hating politician number one. Take Hazel Chew of the Communist Green Party, for example. Not content with constantly gaslighting Irish people about being racist, this transsexual CCP plant regularly shows its ignorance towards black people in Ireland. It never shuts up about the non-issue of racism in Ireland, trying to make political capital by creating perceived injustice in the mind of impressionable black youth, which causes them to run riot instead of taking personal responsibility and reflecting on the facts. This is straight out of Marxist Saul Alinsky's Rule for Radicals, Rule 10 and 11 to be exact. It never stops banging on about racism being an issue in Ireland, despite the fact that it is a non-Irish and has been given the prestigious job of Lord Mayor of Dublin. It is truly pathetic creature. Anyone who disagrees with it is automatically called a racist. Here is a sample of the tweets related to the recent shootings. And I'll let you read that through there for yourself. I take a quick slurp. Go through the feed yourself. It's non-stop batshit crazy race baiting 24/7. But there is a deliberate malevolence at work. Chew creates race issues out of thin air and tries to make political capital by falsely victimising black people for her own CCP Communist Green Party political goals. Her voters are the self-hating, brainwashed white people mentioned above. If you keep telling kids that they are racially victimised like Chew does, they start to believe it. And the Clue Town show never stops telling black kids that they are victims, thus dooming them to the outcomes we explained above. Kids need to be looked after and empowered, not told that they are victims because of the colour of their skin. This sick Ireland-hating snake has zero shame in using black kids for her own political gain ends, despite her contradictory job as Lord Mayor of Dublin. She is a cancer on this country and the wider immigrant community, making a positive contribution to Ireland, just like the rest of her paedophile sympathising Green Party colleagues. Ruth Coppinger, Left-wing black exploiting politician number 2. Another leftist fuckwit, please excuse my language, but I can't think of a better term for her, is also political, also ran an All-Ireland abortion semi-finalist, Ruth Coppinger. Former TD and current servant of her own abusers, Ruth also sought to make political capital off this recent black death by gaslighting leftists into thinking that this was something other than a lawful shooting by a police officer defending himself from a man on a violent rampage. She tweets, extremely concerning that this young man is killed brandishing a knife but not armed otherwise. Extremely concerning that this young man is killed brandishing a knife but not armed otherwise. Was shot 3 times by Gardaí. Answers needed. This rarely happened even when grappling terrorism, gangland crime. Why in this case? You can bet Ruth's seen the video, and you can bet Ruthie knows that policemen had no choice, but she still chose to stoke racial tension and use black people for her own political ends, having been rejected on the 5th count in the recent general election because people were sick of the sight of her moaning mush. Ruth thinks the wider black community are too stupid to see the truth of this shooting for themselves, and is seeking to drive the same Marxist narrative that RTE and other media outlets in Ireland are 100% focused on. They all want division and us fighting amongst ourselves, Ruth included. Ruth is a rabid supporter of the Planned Parenthood and abortion in general, despite Planned Parenthood, founded by eugenicist Bill Gates' eugenicist father, being set up to deliberately kill more black babies than white babies. Go check it out. Margaret Sanger. Go check that name out. Dear black people in Ireland, the left are not your friend. Breed Smith, left-wing black hater number 3. Another genuine, honest-to-goodness scumbag currently stoking racial tensions for political gain is South Dublin Central TD, Breed Smith. Breed pretends to represent the working class while simultaneously calling for non-essential businesses to be shut down all year round throughout the manufactured, faked Hohe 1984 crisis. Breed is the destroyer of working class jobs. She knows COVID is not a dangerous killer, and the working class, along with Sinn Féin, and she will destroy black communities too if you let her. She thinks black people are too stupid to see through her race baiting, and she thinks Irish working class people are too. Here's the Wicked Witch yesterday afternoon on Facebook. Key point highlighted in yellow, and I will read through this. The highlighted section just down the bottom here. Whatever George Mencheka whatever George and Kencho may have done or not done in his past, not justify his killing, was race or rather than racism a factor? Was race or racism other a factor? Inserting it into the situation. Breed is deliberately stoking racial tensions here for political gain. She brings up knife-wielding white criminals not being shot by police and somehow infers that this means Irish police are racist for shooting a black man with a knife. What the clown Smith fails to point is that black or white, most criminals will not lunge at armed detectives with a massive blade. She also doesn't point out to the 2018 killing of another knife man, a white Irish knife man, shot dead in his car. Breed thinks black people are too stupid to realise this for themselves, hence her arrogance. She has demonstrated by her actions that she is racist because she thinks black people can't see the truth for themselves. She is seeking to manipulate the black community into voting for her, using her deliberate and dangerous lies, just as she did the working class white community. She is a parasite, hissing in the pockets of the Irish black community while whispering over their shoulders and telling them it's raining. Breed Smith knows that the shots were fired because they had tased, pepper sprayed, and asked the man to lay down his weapon. Breed Smith has seen the footage. Breed Smith is gaslighting black people and trying to manipulate them into more racial violence. This is what the Marxist left does. Breed Smith is a dangerous scumbag who must not be re-elected if we ever have another fair election in this country. These 3 venomous harridans sum up the bulk of Irish politics, duplicitous contradictions when it comes to talking about race in Ireland. They are only interested in stroking racial tensions for political gain. They couldn't care less about black people. 2 other honourable mentions. Paul Murphy also did the same thing and not included in this article. Paul Murphy of People Before Profit. and caused brought in the question of race straight from the bat. Another scumbag slur on the face of Irish left and socialism in this country. Also, I want to, while we're getting through this article, and I hope still have your attention, and thank you for bearing with me. The Institute of Strategic Dialogue is now doing the rounds on some other superfluous little contrived shows to try and give it some semblance of credence. And this entity, this NGO, this taxpayer funded, this is the government talking to this government, instructing the government, is being set up to identify racial targets and to set up strategic dialogue. This is what will be used in the hate speech legislation. Keep an eye on them and look who funds them. And also, very dangerous character who has spread a social media picture on social media of a supposed knife victim and has been pushing around in nationalist services. You'll also note the same character contrived the Nazi salute outside Google HQ. For those of you in the Republic of Ireland, you know who I'm talking about. We continue. These learning from recent history about political and media race-baiting criminals, this same type of corrupt left-wing Democratic politicians stroked racial hatred in the United States throughout the summer of 2020 after the likely staged death of armed robber, porn star and rapist George Floyd. Here's a black man investigating the fakery in great detail, and that's a link to another video. Billions of dollars in damage was caused by BLM, and communities were impoverished forever. Jobs gone forever. Many black people were alienated from their white brothers forever. Marxist BLM manipulated black communities into destroying their own towns and birthrights to create a permanent underclass that they could exploit for political gain. Judging by the words of these three witches above, you'd be forgiven that thinking that this was their singular goal here in Dublin's black communities. Many of these people want violent ghettos to spring up so they can politically exploit these communities for life by pandering to the false notions of Irish racism and black victimisation, ensuring that many black children unnecessarily grow up alienated from the rest of Irish society. We can clearly see by their actions that Chew, Coppinger, Smith, Murphy et al. Are true racists. The facts are simple. Irish people are not racist. Only the Irish politicians and media manipulating black people in Ireland are racist. African migrants welcomed into Ireland need to step up and speak to their kids and point out the obvious to prevent further strife and prevent children being used as pawns in a wider game of power and control by the political filth that rule us. The migrants' beef is not with the native Irish who have been extremely generous in accommodating migrants to this country. Their beef is with the politicians and medias treating your children like idiots who are not responsible for crimes they may commit. Most current sitting Irish politicians are not the Irish people. They sold their people out a long time ago and received their final down payments from the globalists in 2020. Michael finishes off that ad on the free pest. He said, "We don't run ads and we've been shut down on social media. We rely on our readers to share our work. Thank you." And it is indeed my pleasure to steer you all over in the direction of the freepress.ie. Okay, like Chad, sorry to have much interaction with you there again, but very important. Don't think you're going to see journalism like that in Ireland if we allow hate speech to continue. If we don't push back and speak back, all peoples involved in this, specifically parents, you need to stand up and leaders of the black community, you need to see this for what it is and you need to address it. People are already fermenting division and trying to use and create this to raise profiles, become influencers, online social media, and derive more division. We need people to come together with rational thinking and rational thought and stop this and face up to our common enemy who is loving this Hegelian dialect which it created, which it will propose the solution for, and it will enact the jackboot that it drops. And it'll wipe us all out. Let's keep our eye on the main prize. Okay, YouTube, I want to thank you for your continued support. I'm going to let you go here. We're going to continue on the conversation over on Facebook and DLive. So please do hang around. If you haven't done so already, click on the link over on Facebook or Twitch. Hopefully we'll bring DLive into the conversation. I'm going to take a quick 10 or 15 minute break, fresh cup of tea. And I look forward to welcoming you back in. And I encourage you, get ready, put the lippy on, put the makeup on, and come in and share your comments and let me know your thoughts on that article that Michael just proffered up for us there. and spoke so eloquently for all of us and put it down to pen to paper. Okay. YouTube, I think that's about all of us. Tune in for tomorrow night for another broadcast, and I'll see you then. Don't forget, also, before I let you go, as I am wont to do, don't forget that I'm broadcasting between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. on WBN 324. Thank you very much. Deed, Little Mentalist. D Live must be in the house. I thought you weren't there. YouTube, yeah, WBN 324, Sunday Long Live with Ray Abo. Links will be in the description box in the YouTube and the Facebook later on. Follow us over there, syndicated. For all of you advertisers, syndicated throughout the United States. Give me a shout, hook me up, drop me an email over on the World Wide Web, GRANDTREAM.ie. Don't forget, if you want to support the show, alternative means, use your camera and click on this. You only have to press pause on the YouTube, put your phone up to it, and hey, voila, you're into the world of cryptocurrency. Shazam. Okay, look, YouTube, going to see you later. Take care, God bless you on the next episode. Us.